drugs. According to our Adam Schefter, Welker tested positive for amphetamines. The drug can be used to increase stamina and alertness, while Pro Football Talk says Welker popped the recreational drug Molly while he was at the Kentucky Derby. Here's from Welker. He says, "I'm as shocked as everyone at today's news. This is an email to the Denver Post. I want to make one thing abundantly clear. I would never knowingly take a substance to gain a competitive advantage in any way. Anyone who has ever played it down with me, lifted a weight with me, even eaten a meal with me, knows that I focus purely on what I put in my body and on the hard work I put in year-round to perform at the highest levels, year in and year out. I now know that the NFL's drug policy procedures are clearly flawed, and I will do everything in my power to ensure they are corrected so other individuals and teams aren't negatively affected so rashly like this." Welker went on to say that there are no shortcuts in life. So that denial, extremely strong, Stephen A. What's your reaction to it?
Well, my reaction to it is that Wes Welker needs to stop lying to the American public by saying that he's going to do everything in his power to rectify this situation. He's not going to do a damn thing but serve his 4-game suspension. Let's not act like you were shocked. If you were so shocked, you're shocked because this came down the pike suddenly and you didn't see it coming. You left practice. You ultimately tried to talk to these folks to make your case for yourself. So you basically knew that it was coming down the pike. So don't sit there and act all incredulous and shocked when you pretty much had reason to suspect that this 4-game suspension was going to come down. That just comes across as a bit phony. Now, that in no way, I don't want anybody to mistake me saying that he's lying about the other stuff, meaning that he's lying about, trying to take a performance-enhancing drug. That's not what he was doing, that he knowingly and intentionally did something. I'm going to take him at his word. It could have very easily been a mistake. You're hearing various reports, whatever they may be, and I'm not going to elaborate on all of that because he obviously is denying it, and we don't have enough information to really get into it on that level. But in the end, it was the off season. You were at the Kentucky Derby. You took something while you were there. You ultimately got tested, and we learned it was in violation of the league policy. I don't know what to make of this stuff, to be quite honest with you, Skip. I'm not going to pretend to do so. I barely understand the difference between performance-enhancing drug use as it pertains to steroids and amphetamines. What exactly is the difference that needs to be illuminated here? I'm not an expert in that matter. I simply do not know. I will take him at his word that he did not know. I just don't believe him when he says he was shocked, and I don't believe that he's going to go on some kind of crusade against the NFL and their drug testing policy. He's going to stay his behind home and serve his 4-game suspension. That's what he's going to do. Save the histrionics for somebody else. The first 4 games of the season for the Denver Broncos, Peyton Manning, Emmanuel Sanders, Demaryius Thomas, Julius Thomas, Monty Ball, Coach John Fox, Executive John Elway are not going to have Wes Welker at their disposal. Plain and simple. That's all that matters.
Question. How shocked were you when you heard this news yesterday afternoon? Wes Welker, gone 4 games, amphetamines. How shocked?
I'd say about a 5 on a scale of 1 to 10. Not too surprised, Skip, because the sport of football is so violent that, anything that gives you a kind of edge from a physical perspective or will alleviate some of the the ails and the pains and all of that stuff that comes with the job. It doesn't surprise me what an NFL player is involved with this.
Okay, but we're talking about, on the surface, amphetamines, which get you up, right? These are uppers that have been around forever in the sport of baseball because they play 162 games. You need to get up, up, up.
Yeah.
It's like more caffeine. It's like caffeine, so to speak, on steroids.
Right.
Okay, so
yes,
I don't know what the truth is here. I preface what I'm going to say with that. But, Mr. Smith, hasn't history taught us through the steroid era in baseball and track and field that the more loudly an athlete protests, the guiltier he or she turns out to be? Isn't that where we are?
See David Braun.
That has
Ryan
been true.
Braun.
There you go.
That has been true.
Brian
yes.
Braun. We can go on and on. Back to Marion Jones. We can go on and on. Everybody, no way. Rafael Palmeiro, no way. Yeah, there's a way. So, When I first heard this, I was a little surprised it was Wes Welker, and I was a little surprised at the timing when I heard Adam Schefter's report that this happened just after he returned from the Kentucky Derby. So, again, Mr. Smith, you've been covering sports for a long time. Have you ever heard of an athlete, no matter how driven that athlete might be, taking some sort of upper amphetamines just to get ready for an off-season workout? That's where we are on the surface of this. Neither have I. Again, is it possible? And again, this is just total surmising on my part, speculation. But is it possible that Wes Welker has taken amphetamines during seasons to the point that he's a little addicted to them and he needed them to get up for a workout when he got back from the Derby and said, man, I put on 5 pounds at the Derby. I need to hit the gym hard today and I need something to get me up. Well, clearly he would have been a candidate for testing positive many times before and didn't. So go ahead.
I would answer that question by saying to you that during the off seasons, whereas I don't know an athlete to do such a thing because of a workout, I do know athletes who use such things for other recreational activities in terms of getting themselves up.
Okay, that's where we're getting to here. So, Wes Welker tells the Denver Post, when we get back to the Pro Football Talk report, Molly, or it's MDMA, obviously laced with, cut with amphetamines to give it a little more pop. And Wes Welker says, I wouldn't have any idea where to get a Molly or what a Molly is, as if he doesn't even know what Molly is without the A in front of it. That's a joke. I don't do marijuana. I don't do drugs. I don't do any drugs. So, to quote my friend William Shakespeare, doth he protest too much? This is, as Kerry pointed out, this is vehement denials. So, Stephen A., are you buying any of that he doesn't know what a Molly is?
Hard time believing that.
No, I'm really not. I mean, listen, man. Molly, to my understanding, is a recreational drug, and obviously people use that for other recreational activities.
Okay.
And I'm telling you that when it comes to that, I put nothing past a particular, any man or particularly any athlete, because you're used to being elite at a professional level in terms of sports, but you kind of want to carry that over to being elite in other areas.
That's fine. Okay.
And that's what it is.
All right, fine.
What it is.
But Wes Welker also wonders aloud to the Denver Post, did somebody spike his drink with Molly at the Kentucky Derby?
Could that have happened?
Could it have happened? Sure, it could have happened. Am I going to buy that the dog did eat his homework? I'm not going to buy that one. But I could be wrong.
That's the equivalent, you're saying.
It's a dog ate my homework kind of excuse, as is the final excuse. Oh, the procedure is tainted.
Yeah,
it's flawed. I got a bad sample. Who knows what my A sample wasn't my B. We keep hearing this time after time. Am I going to buy that? I guess it's possible, but too many times in the past we've heard it as is dog ate my homework kind of excuse.
Skip, just a question here for you. The Kentucky Derby is in May, if I remember correctly.
Yep, first Saturday.
Training camp begins in July, preseason's in August, the season begins in September. If indeed he was just using a recreational drug while partying and chilling at the Kentucky Derby, which I hear is a wonderful, wonderful experience. I know plenty of dudes who love going to the Kentucky Derby because they say, for lack of a better phraseology, the scenery is exceptional.
I've been to many, but I was working. Go ahead.
And you didn't like the
That's
scenery.
right.
I didn't even notice the scenery. I saw a lot of hats.
That's all I saw. I've been to the Preakness. The Belmont Stakes. Never been to the Kentucky Derby. But I'm telling you what I heard. And I guess what I'm saying is that if you were partying and chilling, and let's say, for example, you did take a Molly in May, I do believe that the NFL should kind of think about that. I don't know how much of an indictable offense it should be if you were at the Kentucky Derby and you were partying and you engaged in using a recreational drug, clearly for something other than football purposes, okay? And that's something that should be held against you in September for the regular season. I don't know about that. It's just a question.
It's an illegal drug, as is still marijuana in most states.
All right.
So it's illegal. All right. So go ahead. Do you want to?
Yeah, I wanted to ask him a question, and I don't know if this is where you were going. So Wes Welker, Stephen A, misses the first 4 games, right? So let's go down the schedule. Colts, Chiefs, Seahawks. They have a bye in week 4.